All right. So the NBA draft is tomorrow as I record this, and the free agency starts in a week. I just want to do a little sit down thing where I talk about all the insanity. There's been rumors about Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Dejounte Murray, Deandre Ayton, Jerami Grant already got traded. So it's and I'm probably missing a couple, but I do have like notes and Twitter accounts to look at on the side here. So it's going to be interesting, and we got a lot to talk about. And just recap, if you're either new to the NBA season, you just feel like listening to somebody talk about something. Also, I posted the episode 1 of the Quarry on this channel. I'm posting the rest of that series and any future gaming stuff on my third channel, Click Exist. I've never utilized it really. I want to just turn it into a gaming channel to just remove any confusion. You know, I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want with the channel anyways. But yeah, so that's on Click Exist. The rest of that Quarry series, episode 2 is up now. Also, I'll probably do a finale type of thing with the Shaq series. I don't feel like doing too many more episodes with that. And the main channel, you're gonna see a lot of stuff regarding this NBA draft in the next coming days. I also will be streaming the NBA draft on Twitch, not like streaming the draft, but streaming while the draft is going on, because that's illegal. But you know, I'll be able to have the sound on and everything. That'll be fun. So yeah, this is about to get crazy this next week or so, because, well, first of all, let's start with screw it. Everybody's always talking about Kyrie Irving and the Nets. Obviously, they got 2 of the best players of all time on their team, Kyrie, KD, and it's expected that Kyrie Irving is going to decline his player option and look to go elsewhere, which is very interesting. Now, it could also be like a sign and trade. I don't have the exact, I probably could find the exact thing. Yeah, the Nets thus far have not wanted to do a long-term extension with Kyrie Irving. Kevin Durant will ask out of Brooklyn if Irving leaves in free agency. I want to shout out to Evan, what's his name? Evan Sideri. Yeah, this dude. I've been seeing him killing it on Twitter the past few hours at least. He's like compiling everything pretty nicely that people are reporting around the league. Woj was on ESPN talking about a bunch of stuff. As you can see, there's some Knicks stuff with Jalen Brunson. But first and foremost, let's talk about Pistons traded Jerami Grant, and now saw my guy Crispy Flakes raging at them trading him. You know, the Pistons have been trying to trade Jerami Grant for about a year and a half now. So what the hell else did you expect them to get? There was only one team that's interested, and also just to inform you, there is only 5 teams in the NBA with positive cap space. It is the Blazers, the Spurs, the Pacers, the Pistons, and the Magic. And now 4 of those 5 teams are straight up rebuilding. One of them already had Jerami Grant. So where the hell is he supposed to go? Jerami Grant gets traded to the Trailblazers, and obviously there could have been somewhere else that I'm not thinking of right now. They could have traded a player for Jerami Grant. But the Pistons obviously ideally wanted to get cap space, but also ideally wanted to get a better pick than what they got, which is a 2025 Milwaukee Bucks first-round pick that is also protected 1 through 4. Even if everything all hell broke loose and Milwaukee and they lost, they're still not going to get the top 4 pick. So there's not really much in terms of a market for Jerami Grant, even though he averaged 19 points per game. I want to say somewhere around 28 years of age. I'm probably somewhere around there. You know where the hell Jerami Grant's been. Now, to be fair, Jerami Grant himself was a 2nd-round pick like 8 years ago. You know, whatever. You don't get a guy like Jerami Grant in the 2nd round every day. Speaking of the 2nd round, though, the Pistons did swap 2nd-round picks with the Blazers, so they moved up to 36 and the Blazers moved down to 46. Aside from that, nothing else happened. It was just that the 2025 pick from the Milwaukee Bucks. That aside, though, now the Blazers, they're kind of trying to build back the core that they already had with Damian Lillard and everything. Yusuf Nurkic is a free agent, so is Anthony Simons. And according to, I saw one tweet that said that because they have a trade exception. Now I know I'm pretty good with cap space and stuff like that, but this kind of confuses me. They have a trade exception from trading away CJ McCollum, and that Jerami Grant fits right into that, so they actually still have their cap space. I don't know how the hell that works, but if that's how it works, then good for them. So they're gonna have Jerami Grant now, and they might still have their little 22 million in cap space. They'll probably just prioritize re-signing Yusuf Nurkic and Anthony Simons, knowing them, but you know, it could go elsewhere with that as well. I still also, if it wasn't how it worked with that little trade exception thing, then they would have no cap space and they'd have enough to just bird right re-sign Simons and Nurkic. So good for them. There you go. Aside from that, though, and also too, now here's the other thing that's happening with the Blazers right now. Now this would eat into their, actually no, it wouldn't eat in their cap space, because Eric Bledsoe is on the team making $18 million for the next week. That is until either A, he gets traded to the, which this is an actual rumor, he could get traded within the next week to the Portland Trailblazer. I mean, no, my bad, to the Toronto Raptors, same color scheme, same teams, whatever, let me rock. The Raptors for OG Anunoby, and the 7th pick would be going with Eric Bledsoe, obviously, to the Raptors. And now OG Anunoby obviously probably averaged somewhere around 17 points per game this season. Still a, you know, rough around the edges type of player, but he's been in the league now, probably going to his 5th year, maybe 6th. I think 5th year. No, I think it's 6th year. Yeah, already 6th year for OG Anunoby. But here's the thing with Eric Bledsoe, right? Is that Eric Bledsoe, I had to look into this, very interesting. He's making $18 million, but if he gets waived, he's only making $4 million guaranteed. So they will save $12 million in cap space, or 14. What is that? 12 million? No, 14 million in cap space. My bad. I'm awful. If they do indeed decide to waive Eric Bledsoe instead of trading him for OG, I don't know how much that matters or not. I also still don't know, the whole, NBA cap can get murky, whatever. That aside though, now the Pistons, they're a very interesting scenario because the Pistons now have over 50 million, I believe, projected in cap space, which means that they are now the front runners for sure to offer Deandre Ayton his contract. Now, obviously the Pacers are out there, the Spurs are out there, the Magic are out there, and the Spurs we got to talk about too because there's the Dejounte Murray rumors all of a sudden in Atlanta, but we'll talk about that in a second. The Pistons could offer, now Jalen Brunson, there's still rumors about him going to my New York Knicks potentially, that the Knicks could try and create cap space to get him. I don't know if that will happen, and also assuming, I actually don't think he's restricted because he was a second round pick, and I'm pretty sure that's how it works, that he's not restricted. The Knicks also have another unrestricted second round pick that they have, Mitchell Robinson. He can go wherever the hell he wants right now, but he's expected to re-sign, although he has had a lot of injury issues. He's a great center, all that, whatever. And too, the big thing has been they might draft like another center similar to him at 11, but I just don't understand why you wouldn't just just keep him then. If you're going to draft another player that's exactly like him, take the risk on the injuries and all that, whatever. He can't get paid much more than like 11-12 million. If you wanted my opinion on that, Jalen Brunson is probably going to stay with the Mavericks on whatever the hell contract he gets, because they just got Christian Wood, and him, Christian Wood, and Luka, Christian Wood, and Brunson is a pretty intriguing little core for the Mavericks. Although Jalen Brunson is going to probably be turning like 26 this season because he did stay, I believe, either 3 or 4 years in college. So there's something else to consider with that. But that aside though, Kyrie Irving, they were reporting, as you probably already saw because it was a couple days ago, that Kyrie could go to either the Knicks, the Clippers, or there was one other team. I don't have it right in front of me, but those are probably the two biggest ones. And the Knicks would obviously have to create cap space. Now the Knicks don't have that bad of contracts, knowing I'm not ins and outs of every single team crazy. The Knicks, all their guys, they always do this thing where they sign guys, whether it's to a 1 year with a team option or a 2 year with a team option. They decided to do that last year, and Alec Burks has like 1 year with a team option left. Derrick Rose has 1 year with a team option left. So does like 3 other players, Kemba Walker. I don't know. So that's pretty interesting if they did decide to either, I don't think they'll go for Kyrie, but they could definitely create the cap space if they did want to get like Jalen Brunson or something. But let's just go over to what's his name? This dude, Evan was cooking. Now, so here's something we got to talk about, right? Dejounte Murray. The Hawks and Spurs have discussed a trade that would involve Dejounte for John Collins. It says it would be a Drew Holiday like package. Now I had to look up again what the hell. I remember reporting that Drew Holiday trade when it got on this channel when it got announced or whatever, and obviously it resulted in a championship, but it was a pretty crazy package for Drew. It was George Hill and it was Eric Bledsoe, and it was 3 or 4 first-round picks now, or pick swaps, however the hell you finagle that. And it's going to be pretty interesting to see how the hell this goes down. Do I expect this to happen? No. Do I also think that now Drew Holiday, what was he, like 31 years old or old already at the time of that trade? That's what also made it very questionable. Also considering the Bucks had like very little playoff success at the time, their current system, but obviously Drew and the whole team coming together, the signing of Bobby Portis made that much of a difference in the offseason going into the championship season. But this Dejounte Murray move would take a mean haul. If it was John, I bet it would be John Collins. Now Dejounte expires in 2 years from now, I believe, or maybe next year, because he didn't sign the most lucrative. So Dejounte was drafted in 2016 and he signed a 3-year deal. So I believe he would be expiring. Actually, I'm gonna make sure of when the hell he's expiring real quick. Dejounte, he expires in 2024. Like I literally just looked that up a couple minutes ago and I somehow already forgot. But yeah, so he's also not making a lot of money, and you also got to take into effect that Greg Popovich is probably retiring within the next few years. So do you like reset potentially just because of that? I don't know. Also, yeah, so Deshaun Collins just signed his big body contract, and him and the Hawks were always rumored to never be on the best of terms. Now, to be fair, this is not from Woj or something. This is from Jake Fisher, who's like established himself as a pretty solid reporter in the past few free agencies or whatever. But yeah, so John Collins for Dejounte Murray could be a potential thing. I don't know also what pick the Hawks have, if anything. They obviously made the playoffs, so it wouldn't be a lottery pick, but it would have to be a lot in terms of picks. Let's see what's the Atlanta Hawks. They have a 2023 first-round pick from Charlotte. Pretty interesting for Atlanta to try and get in the sweepstakes, especially because you think about his fit next to Trae Young. Obviously Dejounte is a pretty established point guard, but you would imagine at 6'5", 6'4", incredible defender and all-around versatile player, one of the leaders in triple doubles last year, that he'd be a pretty solid fit next to anybody. So Trae Young, Dejounte, especially considering that they could use defense in a backcourt led by Trae Young young. So we'll see what the hell happens. Now, like I was gonna say though, it needs to be a way more lucrative a package than a Drew Holiday package. I bet Dejounte is only like 25, 26 years old, and also made his first All-Star team. It'd have to be nuts. I had to put my bets on it. It's not happening. That trade is not happening. I don't think Dejounte goes anywhere. Next up though is that Deandre Ayton. We got to talk about real quick how the Suns, they do not think he's a max contract player, and according to Mr. Wojnarowski, Adrian Woj, he thinks that he's gone. And the Suns don't think he's a max player for the most part. So it is very possible that they just agree to a sign and trade with kind of like how Brooklyn did it a few years ago when they signed and traded D'Angelo Russell to the Warriors for Kevin Durant. It's very possible that they trade him to the Pistons or someone that, it could also be someone else, a sign and trade specifically. It could work out. You know, let's look real quick again at the teams with cap space. Now the Knicks do have the Knicks are actually 6th most in cap space with -2 million. Also, in case you don't know, every single NBA team has a mid-level exception, which means that they could pay up to like $10 million per year for one player over their cap space. So there's also that. Thunder, they're probably going to draft Chet Holmgren, and we do have to talk about that. I can't believe it took me 14 minutes, but the NBA draft tomorrow, it is expected. This caught me off guard. I could have sworn that the Magic were going to go Chet Holmgren or Paolo. But supposedly, this is from Woj, that the draft order is expected to go, and then you would expect Jaden Ivey at 4 after this. But number 1 through 3, Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren to Jabari Smith to the Magic, Chet Holmgren to the Thunder, and Paolo Banchero to the Rockets. Now, I think this works out for every team not named the Magic. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not personally sold on Jabari Smith. I'm not a huge college watcher, but I tend to look at just like highlights and be like, yeah, I think this guy is good or not, and just vibes, you know what I mean? Like you're here for my opinion, bro. I'm telling you my opinion. I love Jabari Smith's play style. I just don't know if it's how reputable it is in the NBA, how reliable it is in the NBA, how reliable his play style is in the NBA. He reminds me kind of like a Harrison Barnes, and I don't know how far that really brings you. You know, Harrison Barnes is averaging like 18 points at one point, but you know, drafted a #1 overall pick, and I personally think he plays exactly like a Harrison Barnes and not like a, you know what I mean? Because my personal hypothesis a few days ago when I was talking about Jabari Smith is that he's a little bit weaker with less playmaking in terms of getting to the basket, and I find that, you know, in the college game you can get away with that a lot more in terms of trying to get to the rim. He could obviously develop into way more than what he is right now, for sure. He definitely is one of the best shooters in the draft, so that's definitely very promising, but it does feel like a very Orlando Magic pick. If I was Orlando, I would go with the most NBA ready type of guy, which is not NBA ready per se, but guaranteed potential wise NBA. I don't know. I just feel like I would go with the most guaranteed guy, who I believe is Paolo Banchero now, or Banchero. I'll start calling him by his real name, even though I don't want to. And Banchero sounds way cooler. Chet Holmgren, another guy. He weighs 195 and he's 7'1" or 2. He was towering over David Robinson, who's like 7'1". Oh, he might even be 7'3" or something like that. A guy who averaged 4 blocks per game last season in college, but is probably going to get bodied. Hell, on most of his highlights of his blocks, he is getting bodied and just reaches over you and blocks it anyways. It's going to be interesting to see how these 3 guys pan out. Now, Jaden Ivey, a lot of people think that he's the best player. He plays exactly like Ja Morant, except he's a shooting guard, a little bit taller, and obviously worse playmaking and all that type of stuff. He's a shooting guard, you know. His play style, his jumper, his athleticism is really, really terrifyingly uncanny to Ja Morant. That aside, the Rockets, you know, I'm just looking at teams still that could possibly trade for Deandre Ayton, and it's really just the Pistons, dog. Like the Pistons might just swap a little some, nothing too crazy. Maybe like, I mean, what would the Suns really want though? That's the thing, you know what I mean? A sign and trade just makes it a definitive that, like, you don't have to wait that little 3-day period to make sure that you're actually going to sign a guy. With a sign and trade, if you don't know when when a player is restricted and another team signs them to an offer sheet, it's just an offer sheet. It's not the contract yet, and the other team that has them couldn't, you know, just match that and bring them right back. So obviously, if you accept this, if you agree to a sign and trade, it's a done deal. You know what I mean? If you throw them something that they like, that's it. You know what I mean? So it would be pretty easy for the Pistons. I don't know who exactly they would make in that deal. It obviously would not, I would assume, would not be their 5th pick in the draft. I would assume they're going to stand pat on that regardless. But yeah, $50 million is enough to sign both Deandre Ayton and another player. And that would make them probably a play-in team as soon as next year if they get an NBA ready guy. A lot of Keegan Murray talk from Detroit, or talking, you know, in regards to him going to Detroit, which should be pretty interesting. You'll hear me say this later in the video, but to actually reject what I just said about Keegan Murray, the Kings actually have yet to contact the number 4 overall projected pick, Jaden Ivey. They haven't even had a conversation with him. So it's very possible that the Kings select Keegan Murray at 4 and then Jaden Ivey goes to 5 for the Pistons Pistons. Also, when it comes to the top 3 or top 4 in the draft, just off my vibes, literally, bro, like I'm not a college scout. I don't watch a lot of college, but I do not think this draft, at least out the gates, is going to be nearly as good as the last few have been in terms of the top picks. I think Chet Holmgren's a really cool unicorn type of player that'll probably work out in the long term. Might actually surprise people and work out a lot sooner in an Evan Mobley type of role. I do think Jabari Smith could be a tough shot maker, but like I said, it's really tough to project a guy and really just look at him. A guy who makes as many tough shots as he does, or takes as many, and say, oh yeah, he's going to be the next Kevin Durant, he's going to be the next Carmelo Anthony. Like, it doesn't feel right to project. So assuming that he's not that and he's more of a Carmelo, I mean, he's more of a Harrison Barnes type, or like a successful Michael Beasley or something like that, then, you know, I can't go. But if he was to succeed, he does follow the mold of a Melo, a Durant, something of that nature. I just personally don't see it right now, but we'll see what happens. Although, disclaimer, I just named off like 6 of my favorite players. So if this does go well, then Jabari, I'll be right there. And then for Paolo, honestly, he scares me a bit in the fact that I could see him being more like an Aaron Gordon if things go wrong, but he could also be like 2019 Julius Randle or 20 or whatever year was better. I already forgot. Or like a Blake Griffin-ish type of player, the way that he plays. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they all pan out. And if I had to pick a sleeper, just off the top of my head, maybe Johnny Davis. I've liked it. First of all, that man needs to get the hell off my screen with that Taco Bell commercial. But I think at the very least, he'll be around for a long time. The Wizards, so Bradley Beal declined his player option. Now, as we know, once again, the teams that have money is the Spurs have been heavily rumored. Now, Dejounte Murray obviously being discussed and stuff now. Ideally, it would just sign Bradley Beal alongside Dejounte Murray and then roll with that. That'd be kind of crazy. Also, too, obviously, Zach LaVine is also a free agent, and that's been the other one. That was definitely the other one. Now, the reason why I really say, though, obviously, Zach LaVine was just on a team that was in the playoffs and seemed to finally be on an upwards trend from where they have been. DeMar DeRozan's obviously a little bit up there in age and just signed a big deal, but he also has a bit of a, I feel like his game's going to age well. He's not too heavily reliant off athleticism. He's got one of the cleanest, smoothest games in the NBA history. So I feel like he'll do just fine as he ages. On top of that, they obviously have Lonzo Ball, who they seem to be healthy, and they'll probably end up, you know, Rudy Gobert is going to be on the trade market. You probably hear, if I make another video like this one the next week, we'll probably hear some Rudy Gobert rumors. Donovan Mitchell rumors are also very possible. We haven't heard nothing about that yet. Hell, it could come out of nowhere tomorrow that Donovan and Rudy gets traded. And, you know, because that was like what happened with Jimmy Butler that one year, where Jimmy Butler got just shipped for Lauri Markkanen, Zach LaVine, and Chris Dunn, just out of the blue, completely randomly. There's a lot that could happen. So Bradley Beal, though, has been outspoken about saying that he just wants to go to the situation that will allow him to win. By the way, I just realized how short I look right now. Bradley Beal was outspoken in saying that he wants to go to the best situation possible, whether or not that's the Wizards, because they're going to give him his bag of root and tell him come back and play with Kristaps and whoever we draft. It's up to them. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Man, yeah, the Wizards are terrifying. And speaking of that, though, actually how that came to my mind is because I just saw a tweet on Kyle Kuzma. They're willing to discuss Kyle Kuzma and potential trade packages. So also PJ Tucker is expected to get offered 3 years, $30 million from Philadelphia. Now it feels like a lot of people are taking the devil's advocate route on this one. Oh snap, yeah, PJ Tucker, like, wow, he's so great, and oh, it doesn't matter how old he is, he deserves this contract. I disagree. Now here's the thing, right? I'm telling you right now, there's no way in hell, if this doesn't happen, and so be it. But I feel like there's no way in hell this trade or this signing happens without a team option on it. If he got 2 years, $20 million with a team option, that's perfectly fine. So we'll see how that goes, but I think he deserves that. I think he deserves that at least. Even though he's 37 years old, one of the most consistent guys in the league, one of the best corner three-point shooters, and he had an interesting dynamic. Allow them to play him over like guys like Matisse Thybulle, who have virtually no offensive game in situations like late game situations, that type of thing. So that'll be interesting to see. Obviously, James Harden is expected to accept his player option, as we knew already, and re-sign on a multi-year deal, and that also is interesting. And also the Pacers, as we already know, now they are another interesting team. They obviously have $26 million in cap space from trading Domantas Sabonis for Tyrese Halliburton, who's still on his rookie contract. And they also are expected to trade 100% trade Malcolm Brogdon, and they might then wait to trade Miles Turner until the best situation arises, whether it's in the middle of the next season or in 2 weeks. They are very well expected to trade Malcolm Brogdon. I would expect Brogdon to only get, well, first of all, with the cap space around the league dwindling. The Knicks have been expected to be a potential suitor, you know, has they like to use sophisticated words in NBA world, but the Knicks have been expected to potentially look at trading for Brogdon. I think it'd be a great trade for the Knicks. I think it'd be pretty cool. It depends on what they give up. If they give up like that Mavericks first round pick in next year, as well as like that Mavericks pick, a couple of those guys who I was talking about with team options, non-lucrative team options, Alec Burks or something. I don't think Brogdon's market's going to be too crazy considering the cap space that most of these teams have. Have I been missing any guys? I'm talking about free agents. No, I've actually mentioned every single one of these guys. I'm looking at the list right now. Collins, Sexton, Brunson, Simons, Bridges, Ayton, Harden, Beal, Levine, and Irving. All these guys are free agents, and it's going to get very crazy over the next few days. Let's see if there's anything else interesting. I feel like I'm still there's been a lot of things reported today that are very interesting. When it comes to Miles Turner, I really have no clue what the hell they could do with him. I feel like he makes something like 15 million per year. Pretty easy to move for a guy that's that solid. I don't know where he'd go though. Maybe he ends up being, it says the Timberwolves, the Hornets, and the Raptors are interested. Obviously the Raptors have been kind of dealing with Kem Birch, Chris Boucher, like playing center. Also Pascal Siakam just straight up playing center the past few years. So it would be interesting, especially because he's a stretch big who's one of the best shot blockers in the league. So he obviously can fit in almost any offense. And the Hornets, obviously they've been needing a center. They're expected to be in the Rudy Gobert rumors if he is on the trade block. Rudy Gobert rumors are kind of a lot of us creating them, the fans, like, oh snap, the Jazz suck, getting the hell up and out of there, and this team or that team would be interested in him. But you know, who knows if the Jazz are actually gonna just stand pat and not trade him. And the Timberwolves, now there was a report, I actually am mad that it took me this long to mention this one as well, but this video is very stacked up. Timberwolves are supposedly interested, I gotta see if I can find the report again, in getting either Clint Capella or Rudy Gobert next to Cat. I don't know the validity behind that, but that's terrifying. I mean, just the whole, like, it might work, and I'm not saying, I'm not even like, I'm not a neutral with it. Like, I don't know if it will or will not work. It's just crazy to think of. Put Cat next to another guy, another 7-footer. We'll see how that goes, if it does go anywhere. Miles Turner would be a solid fit though, considering that he can shoot the basketball just like Towns. Keep the little 5-out offense going. You don't gotta change too much. So yeah, we'll see what they do with that. That's crazy though, especially in this league. I mean, maybe they see the success that like a team like the Cavaliers had. Obviously though, Evan Mobley is leaps and bounds ahead of a defender compared to Karl Anthony Towns. So Cat would really have to pride himself on defense. Clint Capella, Rudy Gobert, I don't think, you know, a lot can happen. Hypothetically speaking, Clint Capella could end up getting moved and Deandre Ayton could become Atlanta Hawk or something like that. You know, I mean, stuff like that could happen. It's just what we expect or what is to not be expected. Expect the unexpected or just expect the expected. You know, you pick your poison. That aside, the Thunder are aggressively trying to trade up from number 12 with their primary targets being Jaden Ivey and Shaedon Sharpe to pair with Chet Holmgren at number 2. If the Thunder had a team of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Josh Giddey, Jaden Ivey, or Shaedon, as well as Chet Holmgren and whoever else you want to put in that offense, unless I'm forgetting somebody. I mean, obviously they have Lou Dort, but he's short, so you know, we'll see how that goes. That's a pretty insane young lineup. I do think the Thunder are the best destination for Chet Holmgren. I think they have such little amount of pressure. I know Chet Holmgren seems like a confident guy in his interviews, but I don't think it's going to be too seamless for him. I think defensively he's going to early figure it out. Kind of like, I think if they draft him, they'll probably sign a center alongside him and he'll be the 4. I think that he could potentially figure it out pretty early, kind of like how Evan Mobley did defensively. He could be like a versatile threat rather than just getting bullied down low. Maybe he was solely playing center in college because it's a weaker game and you know, you can get away with it and just block shots like a lot of these guys do. Yeah, also too, it says right here, Shaedon Sharpe's draft range is 6 through 9. Now there's been a lot of talk of Detroit potentially drafting him at 5 because I believe he has ties with Detroit or something like that. He was also talking about how much he likes Detroit, same as Jaden Ivey was talking about how much he likes the Knicks, which we could also talk about. I don't know how much strength there is behind this, but Jaden Ivey has been talking a lot about how the Kings have not been in contact with him at all. I don't know how many people know this or not. The Kings have not contacted this man. He's expected to go, or he should go number 4 logically, but the Kings obviously already have De'Aaron Fox and Davion Mitchell. They just traded away Tyrese for a big man, so you would think that they probably are not prioritizing guards, or they just go against their own grain that they've created by drafting another guard after they traded away potentially their best guard. So that aside, the Bulls are not in love with their options at number 18 and would pick and are shopping the pick alongside Mr. Kobe White. Kobe White obviously has shown in the past a lot of potential, a lot of promise, that's a solid maybe bench scorer, you know. So to pair him up with number 18, maybe they either could move up or get a better player to put in Chicago. I'm not sure how much cap space they have to work with that, so you know, that's where it gets confusing. Probably just move up. That's probably what they're ideally looking to do. I was gonna say maybe I could see the Knicks. I do have the draft order on here somewhere. It's kind of cut off, but screw it. See, you got Magic, Thunder, Rockets, Kings, Pistons, Pacers, Blazers, Pelicans, Spurs, Wizards, Knicks, Thunder, Hornets, Hornets and Cavs in the lottery. So we'll see if a team potentially moves down for that. I probably think they'll probably just end up trading that. It's a number 18 overall. They'll probably end up trading that pick for a future pick, maybe. You know what I mean? Like they'll probably just be like, oh, screw this pick, trade it to somebody else for a future first and a second round pick if they don't like the pick. I don't think anybody else is going to be going too crazy for Kobe White, but we'll see. Usman Jiang wowed the Pelicans in a private workout as an under serious consideration for number 8. Rival teams are saying the asking price for Malcolm Brogdon and Miles Turner is believed to be too high right now from the Pacers. Once again, just to solidify, here's the Woj report. Expectation is that the top 3 is going to be Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, and Paolo Banchero. That is nuts. The Hornets, let's just keep on going down while we're here. The Hornets are shopping Gordon Hayward alongside one of their first round picks as an incentive. I'm not sure what first round picks the Hornets have. Let me see real quick. They have the third. Oh, they actually have, I know the Hornets have the 13th and the 15th pick. So that could definitely be interesting to see. You know, Hayward would not be the worst move for the Pistons because Hayward, despite his injury troubles over the past few years, always proves to come back and fight through it and average 20 points somehow. So he definitely could be an interesting subject for the Pistons if they decide that they definitely want to try and pursue like a play-in spot for sure. I don't think he's the most high upside nor young player. I don't think they'll do this though. I think they're going to go all young. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the new Pistons front office that they're going to do some smarter stuff with their cap space. So they've just traded Jerami Grant for virtually nothing to create. The Celtics have made calls from trading up in the first round. I mean, the Celtics love to trade up and get picks and all that type of stuff. Although my dog Danny Ainge is not even there anymore. Not that that's my dog, but whatever. Knicks will indeed become a legitimate threat to sign Jalen Brunson from the Mavericks if they can create necessary cap space. New York is trying to trade Alec Burks, Kemba Walker, and Nerlens Noel to shed salary for Brunson. Now the Knicks, I believe, can waive Kemba Walker, and I don't think most of his salary is guaranteed this upcoming season, but Alec Burks and Nerlens Noel are. Nerlens Noel, one of the biggest garbage signings of last year. Not that it's his fault nor the Knicks' fault, but it's his injury's fault. He was a pretty, if you really think about it, when the Knicks were making that 4th seed run, sure, he had his flaws, he had his upsides. But for the most part, I mean, he was the center of a team that won however many games, you know what I mean? Yeah, now they're obviously going to try and re-sign Mitchell Robinson on my Knicks, you know what I'm saying? They're going back at it. Get him. And Nerlens Noel will probably, I think they're going to end up doing nothing. Honestly, they never end up doing anything unless it's something very stupid. The Heat are believed. Now, here's the thing, right? All these are from Mark Stein. Mark Stein, I rock with you. Cool dude. I feel like he's wrong a lot. Older dude, been around the league for a while. I think he's got a solidified name because, you know, I think he's even in like the Hall of Fame. But over my time, I see a lot of wrong reports from Mark Stein. No smoke. It's just reports. It's just NBA news. We all find out the truth within like a week anyways. But we'll see what happens though. We'll see what happens. More credible rumblings that Kyrie Irving has been recently in contact with LeBron to presumably discuss a reunion on the Lakers. See, like this sounds like some like stupid stuff. I feel like Kyrie is low-key just been streaming on a burner Twitch account for the past 3 days or something, and nobody knows anything about what he's talking about. So Kevin Durant is putting pressure on the Nets to re-sign Kyrie Irving, and their front office know they run the risk of alienating KD via Woj ESPN. KD is actually pushing the Nets to re-sign him. I bet they will. If they don't, then they're probably going to lose Kevin. That's the risk you run. It's Kevin Durant, dog. You don't play around with that. You're probably never gonna, you might never have a player as good as this ever again. Doesn't matter how old he is, what Achilles he's torn, both of them, all 3 of them. He doesn't have 3 of them. The Hawks' goal is to trade John Collins before the draft begins. I personally, if I was the Hawks, would have tried more. They probably did try one hell of a lot to not even have John Collins right now. I don't think he's either A, that good of a player, or B, much of a fit with their team. You know, I think he's all right, but I just, they could do so much better with just rocking with DeAndre Hunter and then getting better scorers that are actually at the wing positions rather than a big man position. You already got Clint Capella as a lob threat as long as you keep him. So, and yeah, the Knicks are more likely to re-sign Mitchell Robinson than draft a big at 11. And Kenny Atkinson didn't believe he had long-term job security with the Hornets. Knicks have been unwilling to include the number 11 pick in a trade for Malcolm Brogdon. Thankfully, that would be very stupid. I have not seen that one yet, but that would be dumb. That would be very dumb. Pacers, I would assume, probably going to take advantage of so many teams being good and try and be worse next season to get a top pick. Alec Burks is trying to move his salary in a dump. I already told you that, and I didn't know that was even a report, but we already know that. The Timberwolves have not come close on any potential trades involving D'Angelo Russell. He was a big-time sellout in the playoffs, so you would expect that they'd maybe be wanting to move on from him. The Sixers are attempting to trade Tobias Harris. I've seen this dude Pompey on Sixers a lot over the years. I don't know how credible or not he is, so this probably might be credible. Pompey on Sixers saying Tobias Harris, trying to trade him. The only untouchable players in the Hawks' roster. Trae Young, DeAndre Hunter, like I said, they got to keep Dog. Dog is nice. He dropped like 40 in one of the playoff games. That's definitely a stretch, but he was cooking in one of them games. Philadelphia is discussing a 3-team trade that would send out Matisse Thybulle and the number 23 pick to clear space for PJ Tucker. The Knicks offered the Kings multiple first-round picks for number 4 overall. I'm not surprised at this. Like I was saying, I'm going to assume though that, shout out to Ian Begley, great reporter. I'm going to assume that if it wasn't already accepted, probably won't be accepted unless the Knicks really just choke up everything on the night of the draft. The Bulls interested in Rudy Gobert is overstated, and Tyrese Benedict Mathurin thinks he's going to the Pacers. So you know it's not going to happen. Pistons and the Hawks are the teams most connected to pursuing Deandre Ayton. I actually said it earlier about the Hawks trading for Deandre Ayton. I had no clue that was even a report. And was showing interest in Rudy Gobert and Clint Capella next to Karl Anthony Towns. Sixers, Eric Gordon, actually, I would love for him to go to a team where he can contend because he still can chuck up some threes and make some. And the Lakers called the Pacers offering Russell Westbrook, Taylor Horton Tucker, and a first-round pick for a return package centered around Malcolm Brogdon. And I've just been kind of rambling about different stuff on here, but yeah, this is all from within the past 24 or so hours. So the Kings want number 6 plus 2 future firsts to move down from number 4 with the Pacers, which Indiana declined. The Kings are being real stingy with it, and that means the Knicks probably won't get it either. And yeah, that's probably it. Thanks for watching. You can like, subscribe to the channel if you my channel at all. That was an interesting little NBA draft recap, and I hope you enjoyed. And shout out to Michael Beasley. And I'm gonna get the hell up and out of here. Cut while I click the stop record button because I don't feel like doing all that crazy stuff for this one. So cut.